Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. TiaDwana here, and I want to show you guys how I created the highlights on this wig. I got a lot of good responses for it, so I'm going to redo exactly what I did on a bob, and I'm just going to get right into it. If you know me, you know I don't like to do much talking. So this is the bob that I'm going to be doing it on, something very quick and easy, just to give you guys an idea of how to get those type of highlights and the type of products that I use. And we have the Blonde Brilliance lifting powder, BW2, or you can also use the Quik Blue, which I have in the back. I use 40 developer. You can also use 30, and you need a spray bottle of water or just a sink with the running water, whichever one is fine. So first, what I'm going to do is start with the Blonde Brilliance, and that's going to really give you the bright highlights. I don't measure, I eyeball. I like to start off with less. Less is more because I don't want to do too much and don't need it. So I just do a little bit at a time. I think I did about 3 scoops here and the 40 developer. Again, if you have 30, you can use that. I move pretty quick, so the 40 is always good for me. And you also always want to use cream developer, not clear. Clear dries the hair out. And so that is the consistency that I want. So that is what I'm going to go with. And I also just wanted to mention you want to use foil as well. Foil is going to help process the hair quicker, and it's going to help lift it brighter. So first we're going to start with the first row. If this hair was longer, I would start with the first row, but since it's short, I left the first row just dark. You want to get all the hair out the way. Now, it was quicker doing it on a short hair, but it was easier doing it with my longer hair, if that makes sense, just because I didn't have all these types of problems with getting the hair out the way and things like that. I'm just securing the wig down here. And basically, when you do these highlights, you're just going to go in a pattern. And you want to remember what pattern you did on the row before. Now, you can do 1 row at a time, or you can combine 2 rows. In the back, I started with 1 row. So right now, I'm just separating the hair. You can just use your hands for this because the hair is shorter. Or you can use a comb for longer hair. And you're going to go in, out, in, out, in, out. And you're going to separate the hair. And the hair that I have lifted up is the hair that I'm going to bleach. So in this row, let's say we start off with dark. We're going to bleach a section, dark, bleach a section, dark, bleach a section. So you're basically just going in a pattern. And again, you want to use foil. That way it helps the hair lift a lot quicker and a lot brighter. And if you do get bleach on hair that is in the dark part of the pattern, that is perfectly fine, and you will see why later. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next row, and whichever I started off with on the row prior is what I'm going to start off with different, if that makes sense. So let's say if the end piece is black on the first row, I'm going to do the next row. I'm going to start the end piece with the blonde piece. So you're going in patterns up as well as across. So if you start black, blonde, black, blonde, the next section is going to be blonde, black, blonde, black. I'm trying not to get tongue-tied. And you can break up the pieces however small you want to. I think I do like a good little amount as far as the strips. Like, as you can see there, that's the amount that I do. And I try to stay with those same amount of sections throughout the hair. But if you want to do them smaller, you can do that. Or if you want to do bigger, you can do that as well. But you want to make sure that you're saturating the hair covered in bleach. You want to separate the hair, especially if you have double wefts. When you make your wigs, like for instance, I like to double the wefts. So you want to make sure that you're getting all of it. And then you're just going to continue the pattern. Also, you have to keep an eye on the hair that's already bleached in the foil. It is going to get hot. So you just want to touch it with your hand periodically. And if it's hot enough, what I would do is just go ahead and remove it. That way you don't dry out the hair, damage the hair, and it starts to fall out, all of that good stuff. And it lifted a lot, very good. So the parts that you're keeping blonde or the parts that you're dyeing, just keep an eye on it. Touch it to make sure that the foil isn't too hot. If it's hot or at a nice warm temperature, I would say just go ahead and remove the foil. Now this is a closure wig. The wig that I got a lot of good responses on is a frontal. So I'm just pretending right now that this is a frontal. I'm dyeing the front piece on both sides, and I did a little invisible part all the way down as if it's a frontal. And I'm going to do that on both sides, and I'm going to, simply because that's the parts that I'm doing blonde. Sorry, y'all, I'm tongue-tied. So, after I do this section, I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, the same amount. And again, I'm just parting the front of the closure, and then I'm going to take my comb all the way down and make an invisible part throughout the tracks of the wig. If this was a frontal, again, you would be able to go ahead and go all the way down and make one smooth part. But since this is a closure, you basically have to create the part going down throughout the tracks. And saturate it with bleach. Again, we're just, whatever we do to one side, we have to do on the other. Also did want to mention that if this was a frontal wig, I would just keep continuing in the back and work my way up. But since this is a closure and I have to create those invisible parts, I'm going to go ahead and do the top section first and then continue working on the back. So what I'm doing now, since we're going in a pattern, so the front two parts are blonde. This section here that I am creating is going to stay dark. So I'm just going to cut a little, not cut, but part a little section there, and I'm going to move it out the way. Then I'm going to do another section, and that section is going to be blonde. And I just wanted to lift my camera up for a second just so you guys can see what I'm doing. So the first section is blonde, and then we have the brown, and then we have the blonde again. And since I am done with that side, I'm going to go ahead and do it again on this side. So the first piece is blonde. I'm going to cut, I keep saying cut. I'm going to part another section right after the blonde. That's going to stay dark. And again, these sections can be as big or as small as you want them to be. And I'm just following the line or the amount on the other side. And that part is going to stay brown or dark, should I say. And then I'm going to do another blonde piece. So now that I'm done with the top pieces, I'm going to just continue in the back following the same pattern. So if the end is blonde, or if you're the last piece, you started off blonde, you're going to do black. And you're going to continue throughout the parts, so forth and so on. Again, if you want to do them in single rows of the tracks, then you can. Or if you want to double them up, double the rows and do 2 rows at a time, you can do that as well. However you want to do it, as long as you're continuing in the same pattern on both sides. Okay, so now we are done bleaching the highlighted pieces, and this is what it looks like so far. What we're going to do now is we're going to lift those dark pieces brown. So with your spray bottle, or if you just want to lightly run it over under water in the sink, you can do that. We're going to saturate it, the hair. And what this is going to do is going to slow the bleach down from not getting too bright. If you want the dark pieces to get brighter, then you don't need to use that much water or hardly any water at all. So you can use Quik Blue or BW2, any other bleach other than the Brilliance. Right. So we're going to make a very watery solution here. So just a little bit of bleach, and you're going to probably do 2 times as much as developer. Again, just to reiterate, you can use 30 or 40. We're going to make a watery solution, and we're just going to saturate the hair all over with it, including the blonde pieces. And you can either do this in the sink or keep it on your mannequin, your head block, whatever. But we're just going to saturate it, and you have to move quick because you don't want the dark pieces to lift too bright. Or if you do, you can just leave it on a little bit longer. It's up to your preference. With this one, I want them to stay, you know, a little dark. I want them to get brown but stay a little dark. So I'm saturating the hair all over with this solution, and it's going to lift those pieces a little lighter. And I would say I left this on for maybe about 5 minutes. So with this one, you have to move a little bit more quicker, which shouldn't be a problem because you're basically just coating the
time is
entire
up. You can just go ahead and get some shampoo and rinse the hair out. I did let the hair air dry. It was still wet, but I did let it air dry for maybe about 20 minutes so it wasn't super soaked. I don't like working with hair that's too wet. So these are the dyes that I used for my blonde. For this wig, I used Pravanna Chromo. I used the very light golden brown. Golden blonde, excuse me. And I also used right here the very light sheer blonde as well. And I just mixed those together. This is dye that I already had in my house. Which is why the tubes look empty. So I didn't really use 2 full tubes, probably about half of each. And then I just mixed those together. This is my preference. You don't have to mix 2 blondes together. Whatever you feel.
And then you're gonna just take
with that
the wig that's on my side, that's highlighted
to the entire
I mixed about 3
wig,
blondes
just
together.
like you did with the watery
bleach solution that you did. So you're just gonna apply it to the entire head and let it sit for about 20 minutes. And this is the final look, guys. I really hope you guys liked this video and enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe for my channel. You can also visit my website, www.TiaDwanacollection.com, and order a custom wig from me. You can also view my Instagram page at TiaDwana Collection. And if you guys want to see me do this look on a frontal wig or do any other colors, please just let me know and I'll do that for you. I hope you guys enjoyed. Take care.